Hello everyone, my name is Patricia Ruiz and this is my district profile on Hesperia Unified School District. Currently there are 31 active schools in the district. Most half of them are elementary schools, K through 6, 3 middle schools, 3 and 5 high schools, 1 adult school, 1 community day school, 1 alternative school of choice, and 5 charter schools. Some of the demographics for the school district are as follows. There is a total enrollment for the 18-19 school year of 24,132 students. The chart here breaks it down as far as the ethnicity. So African Americans make up 7%. We have Hispanic or Latino who make 67.5%. And 20.3% of the students are white. You can see here that the Hispanic or the Latino population has been making up most of the, or a large chunk of the student population in the district. And there's also been a slight increase in the enrollment throughout the years. This right here breaks down the 18-19 enrollment by English language acquisition, status, and grade. So it breaks down the grade here. We have how many English only students are in each grade level. We have English learners in each grade level as well. So throughout the grade levels, for the most part, the numbers are pretty evenly distributed. We have how many English learners have been reclassified fluent English proficient. So it starts with 0, which makes sense in the kindergarten level, but as students move through the different grades, once they get to their 12th grade, 385 of the students were reclassified. And this right here breaks down how many students in total there are per grade level. That number makes up the 24,132, and you can see here the county number and the state number. The enrollment trends for the school district, as previously mentioned, they're pretty evenly distributed, and you can see that here on the pie graph. On average, there are 1,800 students per grade, and this chart right here breaks it down by percentages. So again, this is how many students we have in the district, 24,132, and this is how many students each grade level has enrolled. Next, we have our special education enrollment by ethnicity and disability. It would make sense that because the Hispanic population is very large, most of the students on an IEP or who require special services are Hispanic. So we have students with intellectual disabilities, 92 of them, 336 have a speech or language impairment, 161 of them have other health impairments, 828 students are on an IEP for specific learning disabilities, and 158 are on an IEP for autism. And you can also see the number here for the African American and the white population. In total, there are 2,729 students who require special services. This is the CASP results, or the Smarter Balance results for the state testing. You can see here for the English language arts and literacy, unfortunately, the number of students who are not meeting the standards is very high. So let's look at the chart here below. The darkest blue is the standard not met. And you can see here 38% of third graders did not meet it, 44% of fifth graders did not meet it, 43% of seventh graders. So almost half of the students are not meeting the standards for the state standards for English language arts and literacy. If we look at the results for the mathematics, the numbers are very similar to language arts and literacy. You have here third and fourth graders who are very close to each other. Looking down here, 38 and 37. So 38% of third graders are not meeting the standards. Fifth and sixth grade, again, they're very close to each other. There's a surge here in eighth grade where 70% of the students are not meeting the standards. That's 7 out of 10 kids that are not meeting the standards. They're failing. And so this is very concerning. As a district, I would look at my results and figure out what the problem is. Why is it that 70% of eighth graders are not meeting the standards for mathematics? What is happening? Do they need intervention? Do they need different learning strategies? What can they do to help these students progress and meet the standard? Let's move on to the local control funding formula for the 18-19 school year. So you can see here that on average for daily attendance, in total, the district is getting $20,000, $20,886.17. This right here breaks down the funding. So you have base grant funding, which makes up majority of the funding. You have supplemental grant funding, concentration funding, and in total, the school is receiving $221,761,734. So this is how much the district is getting in LCFF funding. And we want to know if there's any other type of funding that this district is getting. So this chart right here shows you any other types of funding. So we have LCFF, which makes up majority of the funding for the school year. There is some federal funding, there's state funding and local funding, but the LCFF makes up for majority of the funding, and there's a trend here with the funding increasing throughout the years. We also want to know how the district is spending the money. Where are these funds being allocated? And you can see here certificated salaries make up for a large accounts for the highest expenditure, followed by this green right here, which is employee benefits. Now, employees, the district pays for a portion of the employee benefits and the employees pay the rest. So it's not free. The employees do not get full 100% paid benefits like other districts in the area do. They have to pay for their own. So that accounts for this green portion right here. We have classified staff, so we have librarians, aides, campus assistants, so on. And we also have books and supplies, which make up a very small amount, which is a little concerning given that the results for the state testing were not that great. You would think that more money would be spent on books and supplies, but this is what is being spent right now. Looking at the LCAP, at the district's LCAP, this is the mission statement: preparing today's students for tomorrow's world, and their vision is to provide students with 21st century skills by focusing on literacy through the 4 C's and innovation. So the district has 3 goals according to their LCAP. The first one is to provide high quality classroom curriculum, instruction, and assessment to prepare our students for success in college and or a career. The second is to provide a physically and emotionally safe climate and learning environment that is culturally responsive. The third one is to involve parents, families, and community stakeholders. Some of the recent changes that the district has faced is a push toward PLC, or professional learning community. There's also been a push for project-based learning. There is a push for more collaboration classes to mainstream special education students, and continuously assessing students in both math and language arts. There are several strengths that the district has. According to Vincent Ruiz, who is a special education teacher in the district, he believes that having a small district is a benefit because employees can expand their reputation and there's a lot of room for growth and promotions within. The district also tries to build morale by providing professional development throughout the year. So there's an in service, there's colloquium for new teachers, there's plugged in, which is professional development put together by teachers in the district for other teachers who are interested in learning. There's technology, which is very important and is one of the biggest strengths. The student Chromebook ratio is 1 to 1, so every student has a Chromebook. This makes it extremely beneficial for students and teachers to provide um, lessons and focus on that 21st century skill that the district wants to work on. The district also pays for induction for new teachers, and there's a lot of parent involvement programs such as foster parent training, parent project, parenting partners, and the Family Resource Center. And all these different resources are there for parents who might need help um, dealing with certain situations, from teenagers to how to help students stay organized to how do I speak to my child. They do different workshops that help parents um, be more successful with their student. But of course, there are challenges. Some of the challenges that the district faces is the lack of teacher and student disconnect, because a lot of teachers do not relate to the students, um, and vice versa. Vincent Ruiz, who is a special education teacher at a middle school, also believes that there is a disconnect between the secondary schools and the special education program. So, for example, at his site, they have 3 different levels of SPED classes: SAI, RSP, and COLAB classes for the students, whereas other schools or other middle schools only have 2 programs, and students are being pushed into COLAB classes when they're not ready. And this is setting them up for failure and frustration. And so he believes that the district should have guidelines as to that the schools need to follow to make sure that everyone's following the same path when it comes to special education. There is many absent students, and the suspension among students with disabilities, African American students, white students, and homeless students is high. Also, there needs to be more social and emotional support for students, more clinical psychologists on campus, because many of these students have issues and personal problems that they need to address, but there's a shortage on counselors and on psychologists who they can speak to. There's a shortage on guest teachers, employee paid benefits. So, like previously stated, the district only pays for a portion of it, but employees are having to pay $300 to $500 a month for coverage, and that is just too high when other school districts in the area pay for the employees' benefits. The employee doesn't pay a penny, and so this becomes frustrating for teachers and staff. And there needs to be more academic support and intervention for struggling students, such as English language students, math, language arts, and these different subjects that students are struggling with. Some recommendations: hire highly qualified teachers and provide professional development to foster empathy so that there is that connection and we don't have that disconnect between students and teachers anymore. Set district-wide expectations for secondary special education departments. Set and follow a strict policy for chronic absentee students, or a SARB contract. Provide consistent therapy and clinical psychology for students. Hire qualified guest teachers to avoid daily shortages. So teachers are having to period sub during their prep periods in the secondary setting, and this is creating conflict because teachers, as it is, have a lot of work to do. They have a lot of grading, and now they're being asked to period sub for someone who couldn't make it to work. There's not enough subs, and the district needs to make the job more appealing, maybe hire or increase the pay rate because, again, other districts in the area are paying more than we are, and so they need to look at ways to provide more incentives. Offer more credit recovery before and after school interventions and summer school to English learners and at-risk students. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. And here are some of the references that I used to complete this project.